welcome back to Between the Pages. I'm your host, Grace Randolph, and today I have a guest from across the pond, Rich Johnston, who you all know as the founder and editor-in-chief of Bleeding Cool, which is the premier comic book news website for comics and movies and all that great stuff.
There you go, it's official. You heard it here first. It's fantastic.
And one of the great things is that because you guys play by your own rules.
Kind of, yeah.
Right?
It's interesting how that works.
Yeah,
yes.
You're not afraid to say your opinion, which is awesome. And Bleeding Cool has been really growing a lot over the last couple of years.
Yeah.
And now you guys are doing something everyone says is crazy.
Yes,
You're
this is
going
true.
back into print.
Absolutely. Well, everybody else is going, from print to digital, so naturally Bleeding Cool has to do the opposite, just to be awkward.
Yeah, yeah.
I mean, there's something still so powerful about print. Things still matter more in print than in digital, for whatever strange, weird reason. If it's in print, it matters. I think it doesn't go down the page so quickly. It doesn't disappear into yesterday's pixels. Yeah. It's there, and it hangs around like a bad smell. And that's Bleeding Cool magazine, you see?
Well, a lot of publishers would feel that there's the stench of Bleeding Cool sometimes.
I'm glad to hear it. I'm glad to hear it.
That's because you guys, I think that what you say matters, and I think the smart thing is that the magazine isn't going to be the same kind of reporting that you'll find on the website.
No, it's something very different.
It's going to be stories that last.
Yeah, something more feature-led. Things that can hang around for a few weeks rather than disappearing off the page in 24 hours.
Your cover story is fascinating to me because no one's ever done it before. The top 100 most powerful people in comics.
That's right, in the comics industry. Specifically, we're looking at the English language,
yeah.
I think, more than anything else.
But yeah, important for our European and our global viewers.
Yeah, because let's be fair, I mean, Japan, Europe, massive comic book powerhouses.
Oh, totally.
But yeah, so we're ignoring all that completely.
Yeah.
And we're just sticking to America,
it would be too crazy.
UK, Canada, and the various countries that feed into that. So,
yeah, first of all, but I would like to say I think it's great that there's enough people working in comics. You could have a top 100.
Oh, I could have had a top 500.
Wow.
I feel so bad about certain people. I had to push off the edge. And I was thinking, I've only got 100. So loads of people had to be knocked off.
And you have to buy Bleeding Cool magazine to find out all 100.
That's right.
But today you're going to do 10 through 6.
We thought that would be fun. Yeah, that's quite a good fun thing.
You're not going to give away the big surprise.
No,
but you're going to give us some tantalizing stuff. All right. So I'm excited to hear who they are because it's going to get pretty competitive at the top of the list.
Okay.
Right. All right.
Yeah,
so
10 is Mark Millar.
Wow.
Well, he's had a fun year.
Yeah.
For all sorts of reasons. He has kind of left Marvel and DC comics behind in terms of their characters and creating his own works, which have been doing quite well, selling them as films. He's got his own convention with Kapow. He's got his own magazine in Clint. And now he's been picked up by Fox to oversee all their movies, and all the way that's going to then feed into the comics.
That'll get you in the top 10,
Absolutely.
right?
I do remember when Mark, back in the day, was a struggling young writer. I remember when he landed Swamp Thing, which he got with Grant Morrison, and he used to send me little little advanced looks at the comics, so just could show off what he was trying to do with Swamp Thing. I loved that, and I remember when he was doing things like Superman Adventures, and he just could not get any other work. And those are good comics, but he just could not get the work. He was drawing he was writing Sonic the Hedgehog comics. He couldn't get the work, and now.
But that's
boom.
Where I think people don't realize. I think they turn their nose up in the children's sector, but that's where you get your start. So number 9.
Now, see, it looks like it should be Kevin Feige. The way his name is spelled, I think it's Feige, along with beige. But no, it's Kevin Feige.
Well, that's the way comics are, because no one ever says these things out loud, really.
It's true.
So that happens to me all the time.
People are going to get annoyed by this, because, of course, he's a film man, and what's he doing in the top comics list kind of thing? Ooh, terrible thing. But no, he is. The effect that he has on the Marvel movies, the Marvel Studio movies especially, feeds in to Marvel very strongly, and
totally.
And I mean, you see the way things like Avengers just affected the comic marketplace this year alone.
You don't know what which is the head and which is the tail anymore.
Well, indeed, but he's still wagging something, and
a lot of money.
So he's definitely got that.
Fistfuls of money.
Yeah. I mean, he's definitely got that 9th place, kind of like Sun Up. He's certainly the Marvel Studios man that everyone seems to turn to. You can definitely see his influence in what Marvel produced. Marvel being one of the biggest publishers. Yeah, definitely.
This is fascinating. You have 2 movie people so far.
It's not good. Well, I mean, I was about Mark's a comics guy.
That's
I mean, a lot
true.
of us are the comics guys.
That's true, but still, it just shows what influence movies are starting to have on the medium and the business, which is, I think, is positive and negative. All right, so number 8.
8th, well, he's comics, but he always used to be. Dan DiDio.
I love Dan. He gave me my first comic gig with Justice League Unlimited,
really?
number 41, yeah.
I did not know that.
Yeah.
No, I like Dan. He's basically DC's showman. He was basically the answer to Joe Quesada.
But I think he's actually much more in the public eye than Joe Quesada, which is
well,
interesting.
he is now. But I think that has grown. I think he's overtaken. You're right. Joe has taken more of a backseat. Now he's trying to push up Axel Alonso, and I don't think Axel has quite the same kind of Barnum spirit that I think Dan and Joe
That's
have.
a good way to say it. I like that. I think that's true.
And definitely Dan does that. I mean, he makes the big decisions within DC Comics about what comics get published, who, how, when, and where, and what. And
also, he takes risks.
He does. I mean,
like
he's writing a comic book starring Judas Iscariot. I mean, that's got to be a risky comic.
Well,
I mean, I don't know how many people know that, but yeah, it's one of those things.
I think a lot of people complain about the New 52 and rebooting it, but it's such a success and has reinvigorated the industry to such a degree that.
And there is definitely criticism of him. I mean, certainly a lot of the micromanaging, certain people leaving books. You can point
very
to
publicly.
Sometimes you can point to Dan. But again, it's all part of the same thing. Certainly, the success more than any of the New 52, more than anyone, is down to Dan. He pushed for that. He wanted to do it after Final Crisis, wasn't allowed to. Had to wait till Paul had gone, and then turns around, and then suddenly he gets to have a go to do it himself.
And it's proven right.
Yeah, I mean, and he lifted the whole industry with him.
Yeah.
That's the other thing. I mean, I was doing some number crunching, something that's put a speed on Bleeding Cool, about looking at. Because you get some naysayers who say, oh, look at the sales figures of DC now compared to when the DC New 52 launched, they're down. And I can't think, well, yeah, they're going to be. But if you look compared to, say, March of 2011, this is when, March, April, May, when DC, month after month, they were getting like 24% market share. It was horrific. And they were going down and down each month. And within a few months, suddenly they were getting over 50%. I mean, and now...
They dominated September with the
and
zero
now
issues.
they've got like 35, 40% of a much bigger market than it was then. They've done remarkably well.
Number 7.
And it would be more controversial, especially compared to Dan Didio, but I've gone with Eric Stevenson, publisher of Image Comics.
Ooh, well...
Which has a smaller market share, but I would argue is doing more and affecting the comic industry more than any other publisher in the books that they're creating. Well, Eric more than anyone does this thing where he takes someone who has never written a comic book before, or never drawn a comic book before, and puts them into the front of previews, gives them a big splash to announce them, and promotes them. And I haven't seen that. No one else does that.
Image, unlike the big two publishers, takes risks on unknown talent.
Absolutely, and it pays off.
Yeah.
I mean, even sometimes, not so much unknown talent as well, but also talent that maybe hasn't found favour or has gone soft. John Layman is a great example of that. Someone who was doing little bitty projects these days at the time when he gave Chew. I mean, Vertigo had turned down Chew 7 times before he took it to Image. Image published it. Boom. It's a big thing. I mean, you look at someone like Nick Spencer again. I mean, he came from Image. I mean, you look at a lot of the
Robert Kirkman even, Walking Dead.
But also John Hickman and people like that. I mean, you're seeing a lot of comic book creators who are moving up and moving through comics are doing very well, but they get their initial push through Image.
And fascinatingly, go back there, Brian K. Vaughan is selling is selling numbers worthy of the big two.
Oh yes, Sagas, absolutely doing very well. But you can very much look at someone like, I mean, you can see in the New 52 now, and you look at Axel Alonso especially, they basically go to Image and they, ooh, what do we like? We'll have him, we'll have him, we'll have him, we'll have all these people. Yeah. And so basically, it's almost like, to some degree, Image has become a research and development tool for Marvel and DC.
That's fantastic. Well, why do you think Eric doesn't have a bigger personal profile?
He's quite a shy fellow. He's not the Barnum of Dan Didio. However, I think the impact that he's having on the comics industry is more so.
All right, so 6, which is the last one you're going to divulge on this show,
yes.
Right? So who's 6?
It's Brian Michael Bendis.
Ooh, yeah.
So, a man who has all sorts of fingers and all sorts of pies all over Marvel and his own creative own works, which possibly might become a TV thing along the way. His influence on what Marvel publish and also what other people publish in response to him is, well, it's fairly incalculable.
Oh, so isn't he writing the most titles, I think, of anybody?
Yeah, it seems that way. and he doesn't just, he does push all the big Marvel stories, and and now he's got his all new X-Men and Guardians of the Galaxy and everything else he might be bringing out next year. But then he's also got things like Powers, things like Brilliant, things like Takio. And he's also involved with the animation, and he's one of the Marvel Brain Trust, so he's involved with the films.
And he's the one deciding who to kill. It was his idea to kill Peter Parker.
Yes,
and, it was his idea to kill Charles Xavier.
He just likes to kill people.
Yeah,
So, I mean, that alone is just showing his influence.
And Marvel listens.
Yeah, he says, I want to kill someone, and they listen. So, I hope he doesn't want to kill anyone real. I mean, because I think they'll listen.
He'll get your list and be like,
let's
see numbers 1 through 5.
I need to be higher up than I need to be higher up. Kill Rich Johnston. I mean, not that he hasn't tried.
Well, so we've done so if you want to find out 1 through 5 and also 11 through 100, pick up Bleeding Cool magazine, which is going to be in stores. Can people get it digitally?
No.
No?
No.
You have to read it.
Maybe,
you have to read it.
There may be things in the works, I'm not sure. But,
okay.
No, it's a print magazine. Bleeding Cool is a print magazine.
But it's nice because it's comic book sized.
It is, yes.
It's not like a giant magazine that's not going to fit in your stack. It'll still look nice.
And it does. I'm quite pleased
with
it.
I want to ask you this before we go. Why make this list? Why were you like,
oh, well, it was just basically looking at, it's kind of like looking at other industries, they do it. The Forbes does it. In Britain, there's a thing called Media Guardian, and they do it for media, and I was just a bit jealous, and I thought, I'd like to do it for comics as well.
That's fantastic. So, how long did it take you to do it?
Well, I've been writing it on and off for about 6 years.
Really? Oh, wow.
Well before Bleeding Cool.
But at least you thought it out.
Yes, absolutely.